little stingier tonight.
Stingy.
Not giving everybody contracts.
Which one was I stingy on?
No, not too. I was actually probably the most surprised with Almeida. You know, that to me seemed like one of the greatest fights we've ever seen on the series.
I agree. And I thought Daniel's nose was broken in the first round. The shots he took, I just talked to him now. He's on crutches, but other than that, you know, from leg kicks, he's good, man. What a tough kid. And like he said, when you talk about real Mexican fighters, man, that kid's definitely one of them. So, I mean, that kid has some serious star potential. He's 12-0, undefeated, 22 years old. Yeah, see a lot of promise in that kid.
Did you consider Almeida at all? I mean, I know you haven't made it a habit.
So what I did is I don't know if this is the first time I've ever done this. If it is, it's probably only the second. I literally went back and told Almeida, win one more fight outside the UFC, and we'll bring him in for a fight. I love the way that kid fights, and stud.
Very nice. I want to ask you about Kyle as well. You know, he had a tough fight, right? He fought Aaron Jeffrey, who was clinching him a lot, keeping him up against the fence. I just wonder how you evaluate a fighter like that, right? Because he showed flashes and he showed some decent things, but his opponent didn't play the game with him very much, right? So do you put any consideration into that?
Yeah, you gotta figure that out and work through it and try to finish. And I liked his enthusiasm. You know, after the fight, he was acting like he just knocked out Israel Adesanya with a flying knee for the title. I didn't see that kind of a performance. So, nice kid. Keep working and maybe he'll be here. He's 9-1 now. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
The fact that he was talking trash to Sean Strickland, did that help you? Did that factor into his decision at all?
No. Listen, what do I always tell you guys, man? We're in the mean business. This is, that just shows me what a tough kid he is, that he's tough. He's not afraid to walk in the doors here as a contender and get into it with some of the big guys. And arguably Strickland is probably the meanest, nastiest dude here. You know what I mean? When it comes to, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's a pretty mean dude. So if you ain't afraid to fuck with him, you're not afraid of much.
I did want to ask you, had a unique situation, right, where we lost a fight today due to an illness. So I just kind of want to ask how you handle both those guys, right? Because one guy misses weight pretty bad, but we find out he was ill, he witdraws. Another guy doesn't even get his chance. Yep. How do you handle each of those guys?
Yeah, we got him here. We're going to see if we can get him, things are falling out left and right these days. So we'll get him something, get it figured out.
Both of them? Or just the one that didn't get to fight, which was Christopher?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, I did want to ask you, we didn't get to see you on Saturday night, obviously. I did want to ask you real quickly about Nick Diaz, what you thought of his performance. So still, people are all trying to figure out what we saw, maybe better than he could have been, but maybe not the same as he was.
I thought Nick Diaz looked incredible, considering he hasn't fought in 5 years. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. You never know what to get with the brothers, but let me tell you what, with a 5-year layoff, I thought he looked unbelievable. That first round, and I don't know if you guys saw Robbie after the fight, but Robbie had friggin' knots and lumps and, all over him. Those two went to war. The fight itself exceeded my expectations because Nick hadn't fought in 5 years. I thought Robbie was just going to go out there and buzzsaw through him, and that was not the case.
I know you said, as you said with the brothers, you don't know what you're dealing with, but do you think we'll see Nick fight again? Do you want to have him? I know it was kind of a weird week with him no showing media and changing the weight class and all that. Do you want to see him fight again? And are you?
Yeah, well, those are the kind of things I expect from Diaz brothers. But I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. But he looked damn good. That kid's got a massive heart. He's obviously a super talented fighter. And, I was impressed.
Last thing I did have to ask you as well about Jon Jones. Obviously, the details have come out about that and the arrest. I'm sure you probably have more information than we do. So I'm just kind of curious your thoughts about this latest incident with Jon Jones. And is there any need for UFC involvement? I think a lot of people are saying, yes, they're independent contractors, whatever, but
Saying yes, what?
Yes, of course, they're not your employees; they're independent contractors. But the USC may need to do something here with Jon Jones.
Yeah, well, we'll do what we always do. We're very consistent in that we watch and see how this thing plays out legally and what happens, and then we'll make a decision from there.
Do you have any personal feelings on this latest incident?
I mean, this is what Jon does when he comes to Vegas, man. Jon comes to Vegas, and this is a rough place for him, man. There's never, he was here less than 12 hours, I think, and he was in jail. So, and every time we bring him here too, we try to keep him here for as short a time as possible. Get him in and get him out. This time he was with his family, so we figured wrong.
Would he face any discipline? I mean, is there anything you can do? Would you ever consider releasing a guy because he's, such a, I guess, PR headache, so to speak?
I got 650 guys that are, there's shit that goes on here every day. It's the fight business, man. Every day we got stuff going on, stuff that you don't know about, that we deal with on a daily basis. You guys just hear about the shit that ends up in the media. So it's what we do. We'll see how this thing plays out legally with him, and we'll go from there.
Just off the back of that, Jon actually put out a thing earlier today saying he won't be drinking anymore. He has too much trauma. His brain can't handle it. Is that something you would recommend for Jon, leaving alcohol out of his life completely?
10 years ago.
Going back,
you're late.
Is that something, you said something to us, you said about, stuff we don't even know about, and that Vegas is a bad place for Jon to come to. Has there been other incidents that we haven't heard about with Jon in Vegas?
Well, I'm sure, yeah. There's been plenty of incidents with plenty of people that we have under contract that, we deal with daily. Not just bad stuff either, but personal problems and all kinds of stuff.
Going back to Saturday night, what did you think of the main event between Alex Volkanovski and Brian Ortega? One of the best featherweight fights we've ever seen.
Oh my God, yeah, it was incredible. What was crazy too is Ortega is so tough. At the end of the fourth round, I thought that his corner should have stopped the fight and not let him come out for the fifth. He won the fifth round, Holy shit. It was it was an incredible fight.
That third round where he locked on the guillotine in under a second, and how Alex...
And how does Volkanovski get out of that? How does Volkanovski get out of that guillotine? Ortega has you in a guillotine, and you get out of it. I mean, the whole fight was just badass.
It was a great fight. Do you think with Alex, I feel like a load of people have sort of underrated him because Max is such a fan favorite. Do you think this is the perfect fight for him? Show how tough he is, show great performance that now fans will appreciate. He's the real champion. He's a great fighter.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know who, but one of you guys, leading up to that fight, somebody's like, what's this guy got to do to earn the respect? That's what he's got to do. He did it. He did it on Saturday night. I heard that at the game on Sunday, he was there and they showed him on screen, and I guess the place went crazy. He got a big pop. I went to NASCAR on Sunday, and everybody was screaming at me, going crazy about the fight. So it was just one of those fights that had people buzzing for a couple days.
Even had your old friend Oscar jumping in saying how much he loved the fight.
Yeah. Did he say he loved the fight?
I think he said, what a great fight, but you got underpaid for it. I say he gave Alex some credit, maybe not you, though.
We doing this now? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to get into this?
No.
So here we go. Go ahead and hand out the thing to them. So normally, you guys know how this works. When people, people like to push the buttons and talk about fighter pay, and you don't ever see us coming out and talking about it or doing whatever, because I don't give a shit. When I got 20-something-year-old Jake Paul, a fucking YouTuber, talking about fighter pay, or these other guys on the internet, we know what the hell we're doing over here. And at the end of the day, my philosophy is always this: it's nobody's fucking business what these fighters are making. None of these guys are under some type of gag order in their contract. Any fighter on the roster can come out and tell you guys what they make. Said this a million times. They can come out and tell you what they make. Ask them what they make. What'd you make tonight? They can tell you. They don't tell you. You know why they don't tell you? Because they don't want you to know. I wouldn't want you to know either. But at the end of the day, I've said this a million times. We run a real business, unlike boxing. Boxing doesn't run a real business. What these guys do is every event is a going out of business sale. You know, they're trying to get as much money as they can in the door. The two guys at the top of the card make all the money. And how many fights a year are they doing? 1, 3, 5? You know, I'm doing 52 to 53 events a year. So one of the other things we do and why we run real business is we reinvest in the sport. Not just the business of the UFC, but we reinvest in the sport. And we built a global business over the last 20 years. We have infrastructure. We have 450 employees that we hire. You know, a couple of years ago it was 350. We're at 450 now. UFC headquarters, Performance Institute. I found a space in Mexico City. Now we have a space that we're looking at and doing a deal for. We're going to build a PI there. We're doing Puerto Rico, Africa, and obviously we have one in China. I have offices in Brazil, London, Shanghai, and Singapore. We do all of our own production, which most sports do not. We built the Apex, which has enabled us to put on fights through the pandemic, keep everybody working. We pay for USADA drug testing, which is a massive number every year, to keep the sport safe and fair. And when you think about it, guys like Arum and De La Hoya and people like this never had the vision to do anything like this, and it's never been done. And everybody thinks they know what they're talking about, and everybody has an opinion, and I say it all the time. You know what you guys know about this sport? About this, I shouldn't say the sport. You know what you guys know about this business? What I fucking tell you. That's what you know. That's all you know. What we've done here has never been done in the history of combat sports. And we continue to grow this thing and build the sport bigger for everybody. There's no barrier to entry. Anybody can get into this, okay? Anybody can start an MMA promotion and get going. Jump in and figure it out like I did. Figure it out, right? Now let's get into De La Hoya. And the only reason that I'm telling you this is because he is a lying, two-faced, hypocritical sack of shit. And I hate him so much that I love to prove that he's a lying, hypocritical, two-faced piece of shit. All right, so let's start. I guess we'll start with his, when he started an MMA event. Okay, he did his first MMA event. And just for the record, you guys could figure this out too and do this. This isn't some deep investigational journalism here that you couldn't have done. You guys can all look this up yourself. And so all the former UFC fighters who were on his card made more in their last bout than they did for his event. Most of them made more in multiple or all of their UFC bouts, right? So 17 of the 22 fighters got less than the starting compensation in the UFC. The guys who fought on his MMA card. Now, where I'm going with this is this asshole, every time he opens his mouth, acts like, number one, oh, you're not paying your fighters. You know, why are the fighters not being paid? And he acts like when he put on an event, like he pays more than we do or something. Yeah, you pay fucking Canelo a shitload of money, whom you couldn't even hold on to. You couldn't even keep. He fucking left you too, right? How about this? I have 650 fighters under contract. He had fucking one that mattered. He couldn't keep them. Does he still have Ryan Garcia? Yeah? All right, good for him. That'll be another 2 weeks before he fucking loses that kid, okay? 12 of the 22 fighters got less than got compensated less than what we pay kids on the Contender Series, okay? On that MMA event. The last time, remember the big narrative for that one was Chuck and Tito are going to make more than they ever made? Yeah. The last time Chuck Liddell made less than $250,000 in the UFC was in August of 2004 at UFC 49, okay? The last time Tito Ortiz made less than $250,000 in the UFC was February of 2005 for UFC 251. What do those have in common? They were both, and just for the record, that was when we were still $40 million in the hole. We weren't making money. We were 40 million upside down. That was the last time. After those dates came the Ultimate Fighter and everything started to change and grow, right? So think about this. Chuck Liddell, his last fight in the UFC, right? Chuck lost 5 of his last 6, right? And he still made on his last fight in the UFC 10 times more than what Oscar paid him. Okay? Tito Ortiz won 1 of his last 9 fights. Tito Ortiz's last 9 fights, he won 1. He made 12 times in the UFC for his last fight what Oscar paid him. So it's not like I'm giving you numbers, oh, Tito was the champion and this is what he made and he got a piece of pay-per-view. Chuck was the champion, he got a piece of pay-per-view. This was the last fight on their contracts after Tito won 1 of his last 9 and Chuck was 5 of his last 6 had lost. Okay? So there's another fucking lie from Oscar De La Hoya. Let's get into Volkanovski. He's very concerned about Alexander Volkanovski for some fucking reason. Like he needs Oscar De La Hoya's help, right? Think about this. Oh, wait, let me get into this first. So what you've been handed, I could have brought 30 of these, okay? I brought one because it's June 9th, 2021, okay? This was a fight that just happened in June. It's a Golden Boy Promotions fight that this dickhead put on, okay? There were 9 fights, 18 fighters. The total purses paid for every fight was $36,500. Total. The average purse per fighter is $2,000 on a Golden Boy De La Hoya card. Let me start again. He's concerned about Alexander Volkanovski, okay? Before we pay $1 in fucking purse money, right? Volkanovski got paid more to wear his UFC Venom kit than Oscar De La Hoya paid the entire fucking fight card. Do you understand what I'm saying? To walk out with the Venom fight kit on, he was paid more than Oscar paid the entire fucking fight card. I could go on, but I think we all get the fucking point. He's a liar, and what his interest in talking about the UFC is, and this is the thing. Every time somebody comes out and says, oh, you don't pay your fighters, you don't pay your fighters. I could come out and do this every fuck. I'm not. I don't give a shit. You don't like the way we pay our fighters? Too fucking bad. Go start another MMA organization and you go fucking figure out how to do it. And you can pay them $10 million a fight, $30 million a fight, whatever you want to do. We run a business. We've been very good at it. Not only do we run the business, we continue to grow the sport and take everybody along with us, you know? Tonight, like Laura Sanko said, this whole contender series was all foreign guys that are coming in here to fight. Everybody makes money. Everybody makes a living. You know, there are some hard stories, some sad stories. Some guy came in at this. You're either fucking good enough to be here or you're not. This is the big leagues. It's like the NFL. You can either last here or you can't last here. But people get paid. People get paid a lot of money. Any questions about this sack of shit and his lying?
Just last one. Do you ever think about maybe suing him for defamation? You know,
listen, I'm not suing anybody. I always say this, you know, we all talk shit about each other, you know. They don't like me, I don't like them, we all don't like each other. It is what it is. This is a very mean business. We say mean things about each other. You got people out there to fucking lie. If I lied, guys, if I lied the way that this fucking scumbag lies and these other guys, if I did this shit, and there's so much more on De La Hoya, he owes people money that fought for him that he hasn't paid. The list goes on and on. If I ever did imagine if I still owed a fighter money from fucking a year ago. You would crucify me on a daily basis. This guy, nobody gives a shit. And the only reason, I just despise him so bad that every time he fucking lies, I point it out, and still, people don't give a shit. You know, if you take a look at a lot of choices this guy's made in his life. He gets away with a lot of shit.
I think just losing Canelo is probably an indictment on his ability as a promoter.
What's that?
Losing Canelo is probably an indictment on his ability as a promoter.
I said it to him yesterday, and I'll say it to him again. He accomplished a lot of great things in boxing. Outside of the ring, the guy is an absolute fucking loser. He's a liar and many other things. And I can't tell you, maybe you can tell how much I despise this human being, but that's the only reason that I'm even fucking doing this. This is it. It's the last time. I'm not going out again. I mean, last time he did it, I was on Sports Center and I laid out how he lied and facts, and then here we are again, you know? Yet this guy keeps opening his big fucking yap. He's amazing. Some of the things that this guy's done in his fucking personal life, if that was me, I'd be living on some fucking island somewhere and nobody would ever see me again. I'd disappear. Poof. The fuck happened to him? We know what happened to him. He got the hell out of town before he bumps into somebody.
So Dana, just outside of Oscar, right? There has been a lot of talk on fighter pay lately, right? And the number that gets thrown out is 16 to 18% of revenue around there. I guess, can you talk about?
Is that right?
Is that accurate?
None of your business. It's none of your business how much it is. That's it. I mean, that's what people are always asking about. What about this? What about that? Listen, if you don't like how we run our business, go start your own. There is no barrier to entry to get into this sport. Anybody can do it. Many have. A lot of smart guys too. Cuban, Trump. The list goes on and on. A lot of guys that have gotten into this business. I hear there's new guys coming now. I wish them all the best. You know, anybody can get into this business. If you don't like how we're running ours, go do it yourself.
I guess the last thing I would ask on that, is that a discussion that you guys have in terms of like reviewing, like, hey, should we be allocating more of a percentage towards our fighters, or should we increase the
fighter comp has gone through the roof over the last 5 years since the sale. And it's going to continue to go up. So, yeah.
Dana, since this is probably going to be the last time we're going to talk about Oscar, something that people have always wondered is the genesis of where the beef started.
Yeah. So
what started?
Yeah. So we were cool at one point. I'd go to his fights. He'd put on fights, and I would literally use my social media to talk about the fights. Hey, you watching Oscar's fight tonight? So all the things that I had done for this guy, for when he was having fights and shit. Then we do Mayweather versus McGregor, and this guy goes on like a PR tour telling people not to watch the fight. It was a disgrace to boxing. But he would fight Conor McGregor, right? It's not a disgrace to the sport if you fight him. It was just, I was like, first of all, I'm involved in this fight. Why would you tell people not to watch somebody's fight? What do you even care, right? Like, I just laid out how he pays his fighters and what he does. But you're concerned about my fighter comp, right? The problem with Oscar De La Hoya is Golden Boy is fucking tanking, in my opinion. And, so I don't know what the fucking, the guy, I wish I could tell you, he's an asshole. I mean, other than that, I don't know. And he's a liar and a lot of other things. And that's not just my opinion. This is the second time that I've laid out facts for you. He's talking about paying fighters. He did a card in June where the entire card, total purchase was $36,500.
Crazy. Going back, and I'll leave Oscar at that. That's it.
Yep.
Going back to UFC 266, Jessica Andrade had a wonderful performance, but at the end in the post-fight, she's talking about strawweight makes sense for her, that makes the biggest chance for her to go for a title. Is that what you guys see as well? Do you guys see the best decision for her is to make the move back down to strawweight? And does she have a better shot at the champ going back down to that division?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. We'll see. We'd have to see. She does. Who does she fight? How does it go? There's just so many other things that are involved in making that decision.
And then looking at the champ, a lot of people say they think this is the time that trilogy with Nunes should happen. Valentina's just storming through everybody that's been thrown up, and Lauren Murphy was the last one that I think a lot of people said, well, she deserves that shot. But after Lauren, who's left? I mean, is this the time to really try to push to see if we can get that Nunes 3 fight?
She did deserve that shot. She's a super tough girl, and Valentina went in there and absolutely picked her apart, took her time, seized the moment when it happened, and finished that fight impressively. She's awesome. Usually you wouldn't do a fight when one of the fighters has already won 2 of them, but I think enough people want to see that. And if the girls want to do it, I'll do it.
Is that what it boils down to?
She's got to get through Pena first, though.
And then looking at Brian Ortega, it was a hell of a performance and a lot of heart. You know, there were still moments even at the very end after he was getting punished through the whole fight where he had glimpses of where he was going to possibly get Alexander. What do you guys do with him at this point? Is it just give him some time to take off, keep him in that division, or is he another one that possibly you guys might try to nudge into another division possibly as well? He's fought the top guys in that division. Unfortunately, he's just hasn't won in those top challenges.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I think after a fight like that, he needs some time off. I think Ortega's going to be off for a while, healing up and resting before even getting back into camp and starting to take punches again or train or anything like that. So I don't know. Let's see what happens after he. And the big question is going to be, you know, the kid has a ton of heart, super talented. I've seen guys not look the same after a fight like Saturday nights.
Last one for me, just going back to tonight, we had a heavyweight. I think a lot of times we think that heavyweight is what is needed. What's the difference of a guy that just goes out and gets to the decision for the heavyweights to actually push it to where they do get the contract?
Yeah, so tonight's, I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking. When I looked at a guy like Santos, you know, he comes in at 230 pounds, which means he could probably fight at 205, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just wasn't overly impressed in Rizvan's performance, you know? And I always say to you guys would be like, you know, what'd you think of that? I said, we need heavyweights, you know, we need heavyweights anyway. But when me and the boys went in the back, I think we all agreed that, I don't know, just didn't feel it tonight. Yep.
Daniel, over here, watching a guy like Daniel, who's so complete on his ground game and also has an awesome striking, and he fights like a Mexican. How Arjun seems to start building the PI now, because this is the new generation of Mexican fighters that have a complete game, not just good strikers that they used to be.
What's the question?
How urgent is now to have the PI started?
That's urgent anyway. I mean, it's something that I wanted to do a long time ago, but we're finally just getting it done. So the day we do the ribbon cutting at the PI in Mexico, watch 3 or 4 years later and see what happens. I mean, there's going to be, it's just going to be such a game changer in that country. And like I say, maybe not everybody comes out of that PI a professional fighter, but they'll leave and start training jiu-jitsu or an MMA coach or whatever. You know, we'll be pumping out tons of these type of kids over the next, 5-6 years.
And the actual champion of his division in Lux Fight League, Draco Cosillo, was there. He was the PI. He's been asking for an opportunity. You think there's chance of some Mexicans to get booked on this year's Contender Series, or maybe short notice or something? Because obviously that's the kind of level that Daniel has, that something like what Draco can bring.
What's the question again?
That if there are many chances for other Mexicans like Draco, the champion, in the division of Daniel, to have a chance, still have a chance this year.
What's the question, Lene?
I mean,
There's a champion in the division, the same organization that fight for. So it's like, if that guy's not even the champion, and look how good he looked, do you think the champion or
So if you got a champion from the organization that he came from?
Yeah, he was there on the stands today.
Well, listen, I mean, you could be the champion from another organization, but you might not fight like this. You know, there's just, plus who are you fighting, and there's just so many different different things that can happen in a fight between different people. Styles make fights, and who knows. But yes, I mean, I think that we're going to end up with a ton of talent coming out of Mexico. I've thought that since the day we bought this company. It was just a matter of, growing this business, getting it, and talking about money again. But now there's real money here. I mean, this is a decision where you can make, I won't use any names, but I had a family bring their kid to me a couple weeks ago. And this kid is a stud athlete in baseball, weightlifting, wrestling, and all these other things. And the kid had to make a decision which path to go down. And they came here because this is where the money is, It's now becoming one of those sports where you realize you can make millions and millions of dollars and change your life. So I think you're going to see a lot of kids that might have played something else coming here.
And Dustin mentioned on Thursday that he was close and he was hoping to get the contract done for the Poirier against Oliveira fight in December. Was there any advance? Did you get to sit with Dustin on the weekend?
Getting something done with Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, he mentioned on Thursday that he was hoping to get the contract done this weekend.
Did we announce it?
No. And just finally, Rodriguez against Holloway, it's official. It's a kind of fight that, a lot of people are going to try to get here. Max is really popular. A lot of people want to come from Mexico to see Jair. Is the kind of fight that can get more crowd here, or is just depend on the commission if you can get at least more rows on the bleachers there?
Oh, can we get more people in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Yep. I don't know if we can accommodate everybody that wants to come, but we can fit more people in here, for sure.
Is there a number from the commission, or is it just as much as it is?
Yeah, I don't think so. There's no number. I mean, look at the fights we're doing. We just sold out T-Mobile. It's not like they're going to put a number on us in here.
So this is like around 1,000, right? Or
yeah, 1,500.
okay, good news. Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, thanks for taking the time
Hi.
and explaining the education also with the business. Let's just say Amanda gets past her next challenge. Shevchenko wants to move up. In a perfect world, would that be so she's cleaned out everything, would that be Amanda's retirement fight in Brazil, or you bring her to T-Mobile and it's like the send-off?
What's the question, Lene?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be up to Amanda whether she would retire after that fight. And then, as far as timing goes, it's going to depend on what the world looks like when we do that fight. Is Brazil back open? Does it make sense for us to go there? What would the gate be? What would the gate be here? I mean, there's just so many different things that would determine that. But it's like, I was just talking to somebody the other day about this, asking me my schedule about other things. You know how it was back in the day. I could give you the schedule, might not tell you who's going to fight, but I tell you where we were going to be, what city, what arena, all those kind of things. It's just not like that anymore, for now at least.
And thank you. And staying at 35, what was the thought process to get that interim title? And with Merab's fantastic performance, was he in the conversation to go up against Peter at all? Because I know he said he doesn't want to fight AJ, but was Merab ever in the conversation for that interim belt?
Yeah, no, when we made that fight, that fight hadn't happened yet. So that fight was already done before that fight happened. So, and yeah, we had to do the interim title. I mean, if you look at how that fight ended and Jan is ready to go, Sterling doesn't know when he's going to be ready, doesn't know when his leg is going to be healed, doesn't know when he's going to get the doctor's clearance. So interim title makes sense.
Perfect. And lastly, to the Diaz brothers, Nate tweeted a fist in December Are we seeing Nate back in December?
I don't know what that means. It looks like, I guess that means he wants to fight in December. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't have anything planned.
All right. Thank you, sir.